I didn't intend on making a video in regards to this stabbing, this Metcalf stabbing, but I was somewhat encouraged to do so. And see, I don't normally deal with things like this, and because they're so race based, and considering what I've been seeing over the internet as well as the news, the black community is in very big trouble. The black community, to my understanding, has become even more and more morally bankrupt. I thought that I saw some bad things and some very disgusting things when Brother Kevin Samuels died, and how a whole lot of black women danced on his grave. But considering what just transpired with the stabbing, I'm seeing the black community tried to justify a stabbing when this young man, the only thing he had to do was just get up and walk away. It's that simple. It was that simple. But his ego took over and everything, and they say, well, this young white man, he had bullied him, but from my own research, he just asked him, could you leave this particular area because this is our tent area in regards to being an opposing team, and he refused to leave. And that's what sparked everything. But everyone wants to make it a race issue simply because these two young men was of different races. But it's not a race issue. It is a moral issue. Because I don't care if someone attacks you or put their hands on you, especially if you refuse to remove yourself from a specific area to where you obviously knew that you didn't belong, and something transpires and you take out a knife and you stab someone in their hearts, then that takes it to a whole nother level. And then you have a whole community of people trying to justify this young man getting stabbed in his heart simply because the young man who committed the stabbing is black. And everybody is outraged because the courts sentenced this young black man in Texas 35 years in prison. Texas, 35 years, a black man at the age of 18. They gave him 35 years. Now, if he's on his best behavior, he could get out between 17 and 20 years. But Texas, 35 years? Normally, back in the day, if a young black man would have committed this crime, he would have gotten life in prison and he would have been awaiting execution. But the way that I'm seeing the black community respond to this, I even seen a picture. I was going to put it up here, but I wasn't certain if it was Al or not, and I'm hoping that it was Al. It was a young black man urinating on the grave of the young man who got stabbed. Now, if this picture is real, or even if it's fake, you have some people out here who wish it was real. What is happening to the black community to the degree that there is so much evil and hatred sitting up inside to where we can actually look at this situation and justify this young man getting stabbed in his heart. Oh, well, he was a bully, so I guess that justified him getting stabbed in his heart. I was bullied when I was coming up. I was bullied when I was coming up in Chicago. But I got rid of all of my bullies because I wasn't one that was going to be bullied. And when you're in that type of situation, if you want something to stop, you have to stop it yourself. But I didn't take a knife with me to school and stab anybody in their hearts. Considering the way that the majority of the black community has responded to this, black community have a lot of dark times coming because the Creator sees all. Now people may say, aren't you black? Yeah, I'm black, but I ain't no nigga. Because all of this stuff you niggas are doing out here, how you showing your depths of evil and ignorance, and you got these black women all up on the camera like this. I mean, what the hell is wrong with y'all today? What the hell is going on? I'm 62 years old and I've seen the whole lot, but I have never seen anything like this in terms of the black community. In terms of the black community, if we're not on the sinking ship, that ship has sailed. And that's all I have to say about it. My thoughts and prayers go out to the Metcalf family. It's regrettable what happened to your son, and it's regrettable what this young man did to his own life. Because you have one family that's grieving the death of their sons, and you have another family who's going to be without their son for the next 20 to 35 years. So who won in the situation? No one won. Okay? Now I'm not justifying Metcalf's aggression towards him. I think his approach could have been better. Especially if he saw that this young man was in defiance of leaving. I'm in the security field. And when you see someone who is in defiance of leaving private property, you don't become aggressive. We exercise something that is called de-escalation. Simply because they're in defiance don't mean that you have to become aggressive, because one thing, you're just going to make matters worse and it could escalate into some violence. So you have to be wise in the way that you respond to things instead of always reacting to things. The only thing that young man had to do was get up and move to another area. That's all he had to do. And simply because he said, well, you gonna find something out. Well, that sounds premeditated to me. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like premeditated murder. That's exactly what it sounds like. But as I say again, for Texas, 35 years for a young black man, Texas, any other time, he would have got life in prison and they'd have put him on death row. However, regardless of what transpired, the black community need to look at themselves. You really need to look at yourselves and think about the kind of things that you're trying to come up with to justify this young man stabbing. Urinating on graves. It's just disgusting and it's disgraceful. But that being said, that's all I have to say about it.